First outreach regarding the Russian social media company VK. On January 19, 2016, Goldstone emailed Trump Jr. and copied Graf. He wrote, quote, "I hope you are well and congratulations on an outstanding job so far re the campaign. With this in mind, I was just at Moscow and met with a good friend who runs the marketing for VK, which is the largest social media platform in Russia. They have more than 2.7 million Russian Americans using the site, living in the USA, and had an idea to create a campaign page on VK for Mr. Trump and market it to the almost 3 million influential Russian American voters living in the USA. I thought it was a very interesting and sensible idea, and so wanted to pass it along. I'm not sure who handles this kind of thing for the campaign, so I hope you don't mind I send it directly to you both. I can get massive exposure for Mr. Trump on the site for sure, and it will be covered in Russian media also, where I noticed your campaign is covered positively almost daily, which, extremely gracious comments from President Putin, etc. Please let me know if the campaign is interested, and I will connect the dots." Close quote. Goldstone's email included the text of a forwarded email from Konstantin Sidorkov, a quote, partner relations manager, close quote, at VK. The message reads, "From Konstantin Sidorkov, subject Donald Trump on VK, January 18, 2016, at 12:48 p.m. EST, to Rob Goldstone, redacted, Rob Goldstone, redacted. I want to introduce you the most visited social network in Russia, Ukraine, and CIS countries. VK, VKontakte. Some interesting facts about VK. More than 340 million registered users, over 76 million visitors per day, over 2.6 billion page views per day, 65% visitors from Russia, more than 59% users older than 25 years. From USA, we had 2.7 million profiles registered and more than 1.5 million visitors monthly. Our platform includes all types of communications: Messenger plus video plus music plus photo. U.S. press often calls us, quote, Russian Facebook, close quote, because all other social networks in Russia are rather smaller than VK. For last 2 years, VK become a favorite platform for many politics in Russia as the best way to communicate with people. In addition, you can find the full presentation about us with details. We want to invite Donald Trump to set up an official page on VK, which will have the latest updates from Donald and maybe Russian translation. Also, we will make a huge promotion for it with our marketing instruments and put this page to Users Recommendation Inc., targeting to all our audience. Thanks for your attention. We'll look forward for your answer." End of message. Later that day, January 19, 2016, Graf responded, copying Trump Jr. and Dan Scavino from the Trump campaign. She wrote, quote, "Thank you for bringing this terrific opportunity to our attention. I've copied Dan Scavino, who heads up social media for the campaign, and I am sure he will be in touch with you to help connect the dots." Close quote. Shortly after Graf's email, Scavino replied to Goldstone, copying Graf and Trump Jr. He wrote, quote, "Hi, Rob. Please feel free to send me whatever you have on this system, ! I will share it with the team, as we are currently on the campaign trail right now. Thank you so much for looking out for Mr. Trump and his presidential campaign. This is great! Best, Dan." End of message. The Russian government and the Internet Research Agency, IRA, use VK, Russia's version of Facebook, for influence operations. According to public reporting, the company's original leadership was pushed out in an effort that involved the Russian FSB and replaced with Kremlin-aligned ownership in 2013 and 2014. Redacted. Much of the following pages are redacted. The exception, one line, "The committee assesses that corporate ownership of VK also raises serious concerns." The committee's insight into Sidorkov's motivations is extremely limited. However, targeting Russian-speaking voters in the United States is thematically consistent with, redacted, undertaken by the Russian government in support of Trump in the 2016 U.S. election. On January 20th, Konstantin Sidorkov wrote to Scavino, copying Goldstone, Graf, and Trump Jr. Message. Hi, Dan. Nice to meet you and your team. In attachment, you can find the last presentation about VK audience. Please check this details in the end of my first letter. More than 340 million registered users, over 76 million visitors per day, over 2.6 billion page views per day, 65% visitors from Russia, more than 59% users older than 25 years. From USA, we had 2.7 million profiles registered and more than 1.5 million visitors monthly. We can help with the registration, adding first information to the page. But further, we want to ask you to manage page by yourself with last updates like Facebook. It will be cool also to have Russian translation of publication there to get more coverage, because not so many Russians know English. But for this thing, we need to find in your social media department Russian-speaking manager. End message. Redacted. In 2016 and into at least the beginning of 2017, contact continued between the Agalarovs and their associates and the Trumps and their associates through a series of emails, gifts, and letters. Some of the communications, not all of which are captured below, were substantive. Others were less so. On January 25, 2016, Emin Agalarov emailed Trump Jr., quote, I'm in New York. Send my best to the family and congratulations on all the amazing success, 3 exclamation points. My best to the big boss, 4 exclamation points. Emin, close quote. On February 29th, Goldstone wrote to Trump Jr. and Graf, copying Emin Agalarov. Good morning. Emin's father has asked me to pass on his congratulations in a letter enclosed below for Mr. Trump on the eve of Super Tuesday vote, offering his support and that of many of his important Russian friends and colleagues, especially with reference to U.S./Russian relations. Best of luck to you all, and many thanks for passing on this letter. Best, Rob. End of message. Attached to Goldstone's email was a letter from Aras Agalarov wishing Trump success on Super Tuesday. On March 4, 2016, Graf responded to Goldstone, writing, quote, Please know that the very thoughtful and kind letter from Mr. Agalarov to Mr. Trump was relayed to him earlier this week, close quote. Graf's confirmation that Trump had received the letter was passed on to Emin Agalarov and other Agalarov staff. On March 18, 2016, Trump responded in a handwritten note on the original letter from Agalarov. On the committee's reproduced letter, Donald Trump has written, Aras, you have done such a great job. You are an amazing man with a great family. Keep in touch and say hello to Emin. Donald. End of note. The letter with the note was emailed by a staffer at the Trump Organization to Emin Agalarov, who responded, quote, Amazing, thank you, close quote. The Agalarovs seemed to feel that this note on the letter demonstrated their relationship with Trump. On April 8, 2016, Aras Agalarov brought the letter to an interview with the Washington Post's Moscow bureau chief. When Agalarov produced it in the interview, Emin Agalarov stated, quote, It's the real deal, not fake, close quote. Aras Agalarov then added, quote, Please note that first of all, he didn't just give this to his secretary to type. He wrote it himself. So he wrote that himself with his own hand. That tells that this is a person who doesn't suffer from the disease of celebrity. Can you imagine that the future president of the United States, using his own hands, spends time writing letters to his friends in Russia? It's a good sign. Close quote. Paragraph redacted. On April 13, 2016, Goldstone wrote to Graf to inform her that the Washington Post interview had taken place. He wrote, quote, Below is a note from Aras Agalarov for Mr. Trump regarding a recent Washington Post business interview in Moscow in which he was asked some questions and topics regarding Russia and Mr. Trump. If you need a transcript, please let me know. A letter from Aras Agalarov was attached. On April 15th, Graf emailed Goldstone to inform him that Trump had received the letter from Agalarov. On April 25, 2016, Graf emailed Goldstone, writing, quote, Hope all is well. Please see the attached note from Mr. Trump to Mr. Agalarov. Would you kindly relay it to him? Close quote. The following, a handwritten note from Trump on the original letter from Agalarov, was attached. The letter from Agalarov. Dear Mr. Trump, I wanted to afford you the courtesy of letting you know that a couple of days ago, the Moscow bureau chief of the Washington Post, Michael Birnbaum, sat down for an interview with me and Emin in Moscow, and in the course of this interview, your name came up with questions about the professional and personal relationship between us. During the interview, the correspondent addressed a number of questions regarding your relationship with Crocus Group, with the President of Russian Federation, and topics relating to Russia, Azerbaijan, and the USA. The vast majority of questions referred to your work in the field of business and politics, and of course the upcoming election. Although the interview was very positive, and both me and Emin had only the best things to say on all topics, we felt that the correspondent may not have been one of your biggest fans, underlined. I always record and transcribe all media interviews, and therefore, should you need it, we are happy to send you a transcript. Once again, I sincerely wish you success in your electoral campaign. Best regards, Aras Agalarov. President Trump's response, written in Sharpie across the letter, Aras, they are bad news, but I am winning. I really appreciate your friendship. Say hello to the superstar. I miss you both. Best wishes, Donald. End of letter, end of note.